Well, we have a half an hour, which is awesome, because you guys showed up not just to hear these great presentations of these fabulous Black women, but to have a conversation with each other and, you know, raise questions, but also share from your own experience, and let it be okay that we have different experiences and we have different perspectives. We need each other. We need to be able to hear each other and really listen, especially when somebody's experience is different than ours. We don't need to be always hanging out with the people who think exactly like us. So, are there some people who would like to put their hands up and have some questions, or would like to make a comment? If you would, wait until the microphone gets over to you. Oh yeah, that's great.
We have several people. Oh, there you go. I'm not sure who to choose. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Is this on?
Is it working?
Is that okay? Because I have a very soft voice.
I don't think it's working. Let's see if it's on.
Make sure there's only one on at a time.
Okay, hello. Can you hear me? No. They're not very loud.
Try that one.
You ready to go the other one?
Yeah, that one's a...
Yours is better. Hello? Yours is better? Okay.
And then
All right.
talk right into it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so here I am, all in white. So I like a lot of people here, when I look around the room and see the gray hair, lived through the demonstrations throughout the 60s and Vietnam, Poor People's March, feminist movement, and the civil rights movement simultaneously happening, which is very interesting. So a very interesting era to be able to be involved in at a young age. And it was and it is young people like you all whose mission it is to point out what's wrong about what you see so we can correct it. And we did a lot of work in the 60s for that effort. And my question is this: after going through all that and looking back, our motto throughout the 60s, take down the system. Right? Same motto. Take down the system. The problem with our motto was that's all well and good, but we didn't have anything to replace it. Okay? And I don't hear anything tonight about what we can do. I mean, we're all aware, we've seen this on TV, we've seen all this stuff, and it's great. And it's great that people are standing up and fighting for us. This was all determined by our forefathers in the Declaration of Independence about they could not deal with the black issue or they couldn't pass the Declaration of Independence. So you're right, it's in the foundation of our history and everything I agree with. But I really think it's time to say, if you're going to take down the system, you better have something to put it up with, to put in place of it. If you've got something better, please share.
Well, I'll take a stab at addressing that. I went over my time, but we didn't have a lot of time. I think one of the things that many people have also seen in the media with the Black Lives Matter movement are their attempt to bring attention to the political system right now, right? And so I'll stand up. Okay, maybe. Okay. To bring attention to the political system. And so you've seen them at Hillary Clinton rallies, you've seen them at Bernie Sanders rallies. And so before I go too far into that, you're right, the 60s was about taking down the system. And I think what we learned, one of the lessons at least that we talk about within the Black Lives Matter movement, we learned from the Panther Party through Bobby Seale, was that we didn't have anything to replace it. And while we had a handful of people who were saying, yes, let's take down the system, the majority was saying, you're anarchist, right? That'll never happen, it won't work. And so what the Black Lives Matter movement, and they have a 7-point platform that folks, I encourage you to read, that simply says that instead of continuing to vote just for the sake of voting, in one part they've asked us to withhold our vote. And at that I'll put a comma to say, one of the reasons why we do not call ourselves a Black Lives Matter chapter here in the city of Pensacola is because that was one of the platforms we did not subscribe to. All of the founders have consistently and will continue to say that we have power in our vote. And that is one of the areas where we've got to change the system versus overthrowing the system. But the Black Lives Matter movement, its founders, the 3 women who did found it, one of their platform items is to withhold the vote in elections or on behalf of candidates who don't speak for or speak in favor of those things that would in fact benefit the Black community. And so that ideology still, that doctrine still exists. But as a society, and even as young organizers, some of us are just like, I don't know about that one. And that's one of them. Another thing that they're calling for is to defund the police. And that again, we were at the forefront and celebrated the appointment of Chief Alexander in this community. And we were there with the rallying cry, like, whoo-hoo, right there with him that day it happened and leading up to that. And so when you've got Black leaders who we know care for the community, not black or white, but for the community, it's hard for us to then say, let's defund police. And we also know that there has to be a level of law and order. And so we're playing this dance, right, of how do we not necessarily overthrow the system or take it down, but how do we put people within the system? And that's one of the other platforms, is that it's calling, the Black Lives Matter movement is calling for young African Americans, and we saw this in Baltimore, we saw this in Oakland. In fact, Watts has its youngest mayor, he's not even 30 yet, recently elected, where young Black people are stepping into the political arena to run for office and doing a great job organizing the community and actually getting elected.